Hello, you guys. So today we're going to be covering a little, basically a build up. I managed to find a $5 computer. Granted, it was pretty much parts. The guy had left it with just the processor, motherboard, and the case, so it was a really nice looking case. I wanted to get it together, so I have a power supply that actually I had found, and I'm going to be installing some RAM. Let's see what else we got. The hard drive. So basically, we're going to be putting it completely together. I have a graphics card for it, so we're going to be installing the GTX 650 inside of it. This is actually my second take for the video, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Yeah, we'll get right into it.
Hello, you guys. So today we're gonna be doing a quick little video. Basically, I got these two desktops. I actually have a few desktops. You can tell. But this one had a side panel, and this one did not. So what I'm doing right now is I actually swapped the power supply from this one over here. So that's my first thing that I did. The next thing I'm gonna be doing is probably I'm going to be installing the RAM here. Sorry. So I'm going to be installing a little stick of RAM here. Luckily, this was just $5. It was the motherboard, the processor. It came with this little Wi-Fi piece in it, so it's great. Both of these have Wi-Fi adapters. So for $5, I just had to take the power supply out of this one. I'll probably need a hard drive. I have several graphics cards. My intention was actually to put this GT 730. I don't know if you guys remember the little botched GT 730 that I had from back in the day with the what was that old rig, the Windows 7 rig, but it was sick. It did the job. Played a lot of the older games. But basically, I was gonna put this one in. I'm actually printing out a nice bracket for this because this bracket is like really cut up and it's for low profile. I wanted like a full size. So, you know what? I was like, you know what? If I can get a regular size GPU in here that doesn't take up any additional power, I might be able to just do that. Honestly, I mean, it's got PCI connectors here, so I might be able to run something. I just don't know. So what I do have, which I think would probably do the trick, I have two GTX 650s. I don't know what I was doing, but sometimes I just decide to collect graphics cards. So here we are. So we got this one, and we got this one here. Sorry if you can't really see because this is a little camera. Basically, they're not exactly identical. Let's see what we're looking at here. GTX 650. They're both the same model, but as you look through these models, they have sometimes different clock speeds. So you never really know until you get in the BIOS or look them up directly. Um, Personally, I mean, this one looks like one of those like fake ones. Still very nice, but I think it's legit. I'm gonna run it and make sure everything's good. So yeah, this one's gonna be in. The only reason I'm putting this one in here is because it actually doesn't require an additional PCI. So I think this will be just about enough. It should only require about 75 watts right off the PCI slot in here. It's kind of hard to see, but basically it runs directly off this little PCI slot, so it's pretty sweet. Just like as if I would to run this here because they run off the same power. So that's good. I also managed to find this downstairs. It's a little DDR3. I think it's a 4 GB stick. It's supposed to be in a kit, but yeah, I got so many of these computers that I want to set up that I'd rather split the kits up and see how it goes. Uh, but yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I'll show you guys kind of what I'm gonna do here, I guess. So nothing crazy. Uh, I haven't tested this rig. The only thing I have done is basically, well, I cleared out the dust out of the power supply because it was really dusty before anything. I then went and re-greased put some new thermal paste on the processor. All these graphics cards that I do have, generally as soon as I get them, right off the bat, I will go and pretty much replace all the grease. So we're good here. The grease is all replaced. Like I said, I'm going to be probably using this one. We'll see how it goes. First, before I try to shove this thing in here, I do probably have to pull some of these little brackets out. Let me see what I got to do. There we go. Okay, so we need this one. I don't know if you guys can see, but we need this one out. It's a double card, so we gotta hope this will work. So I need 2 of these PCI slots to get pulled out. Eventually, soon enough, I will have a nicer video camera. So this is just like, I wanted to test it out. You know, I feel like there's not enough range of motion, but I'm gonna keep rolling through. But basically, yeah, so we're gonna pop this in the PCI slot. Usually they have like a little wristband you wear. This way you don't have any electrostatic that shocks the board or any other components. You know, it's good to have. Me, I just kind of, you know, it is what it is for me, but it's more just a hobby for fun. But basically, we're going to see if we can get these going. A lot of these I find people, they either throw them out or sell them. Like this one, like I said, it was $5, and it's a really nice rig. Like this one's a 2013, 2014 maybe. This one's a 2012. I mean, they all have Wi-Fi. Not too long ago, you'd find like LGA 775s, no Wi-Fi. So, yeah, I think this is going to do good. We got that. We got the RAM clicked in. Alright. So yeah, so next thing what I'm going to do, I won't show you guys this part of the video, but basically I would install the hard drive. That's going to be next. I might do one of the SSD things, like the conversion, if you saw in my last video. Might do that. Other than that, we have the power button. Just make sure everything's just clearly set up. This is usually like the harder part. If you are just getting into like PC building, it's usually just finding these little not power cables, but the USB cable. You know, the audio cable. Everything's got to be in a specific location, and the motherboards, they usually have the you know, you can find a manual to where exactly everything goes. You definitely want to do everything correct. You want to make sure everything's in the right spot. You don't want to damage anything. Luckily, everything's here and already plugged in, so that's freaking sweet. This thing should be a plug and play unless there's some damage to that motherboard. You know, I might actually just roll right through it, but I'll be right back. Alright, so we're back. So, I don't have a nice SSD to pop in this, but I got this this older WD Caviar Green Western Digital that I could pop in there, so I'll show you guys what I'm doing here. Let me just get the proper, or some type of tool. Just get a screwdriver. We're going to unscrew these, and then we have to figure out a way we're going to basically screw these onto it. Usually I got some extra screws, but I should be able to find something just to put it together. Alright, so we'll get to cranking on this. Sometimes these have like easy pull out panels or brackets. This one has like these metal ones. You know, pretty basic, nothing too crazy. I'll put those to the side. Dang, that thing's on there. Alright, pull out the big tools for this. These little thin screws, little thin screwdrivers. Alright, so here we go. Let me grab something real quick. Alright, so I am back. As you can see here, I got like my assortment of computer screws that I normally use. I'm sure you could literally just buy like a really nice set or kit or whatever, but it just depends on the person, I guess. But yeah, here we go. So we're gonna, let's see, we gotta line a few things up, make sure everything's correct. Oh, here we go. Okay, so there is one screw on each side. I wasn't even looking. So basically, there's one screw hole that you could use, which is probably good enough. That's all we need. All right, so we're just tighten that up a bit. Like I said, I got a lot of these little screws, which is pretty good. It's good to have, especially when you're doing these type of setups. I used to pull these like the broken ones apart, and I would literally grab the screws if I couldn't fix them. Just grab the screws, because the screws for the longest time have been pretty much not exactly universal, but for the most part. All right, so here we are. We're gonna try just dropping it in. Yeah, worked perfect. Worked mint. So basically, I had the two screws left and right. I'm now going to do the two screws on the top just to completely mount it, and hopefully this hard drive will be in perfect shape. I guess our main goal, I usually try to build these up. I end up, playing with them, get a good benchmark, see how everything is. If everything goes well, hopefully we can, pass this on to another enthusiast that likes to play games, even though they might not be the best of games. Someone might be willing to pay, a few bucks for it, which I'm always happy to help out and create the rigs like this. So yeah, but yeah, we're gonna basically set up a few more wires, make sure everything's good. Okay, here we go. Alright, we got that. So it's gonna be a little on the tight side. Yeah, it's gonna be tight up against that panel. I didn't even think about that. Let me see. Yeah, it's a bad design. I mean, the panel might not be. It does look tight though. It's gonna be rough. Really, it should be flat, like an angled one, or it should be coming from the back side. I think there might be a small issue with this hard drive, but we're gonna see how it goes. Usually with the SATA cable I have here, we're looking for like the first SATA to plug it into. Let's see, where's number one? That black one all the way down at the bottom. It's probably hard to see, but that's number one. Basically, number one should be the one that your system's booting from right off the bat. Sometimes it looks for specific bootable drives. It'll go through the bunch and see which one is actually bootable. I'm sure that's pretty much how it goes. But you could also set which SATA you want to boot first, or what drive you want to boot first, right in the BIOS. But yeah, so we got that. We got this. That's all good. I think that's pretty sturdy in there. I could go crazy and put a bolt or a screw in here, but I'm not going to. I think that should be fine. Nice little bracket there it's got. I don't even need the PCI, so that we can kind of put somewhere. It's just not much hiding it. I'm sure I could probably put it through here, but yeah, but that should be it. We're going to see how that panel fits on the top, and then from there we're going to test it.
Hello, you guys. So I'm back. Basically, yesterday we had put on the panel. Panel fit all right. We put in the RAM. We got the storage in. So here we are. We're actually testing it. What I noticed right off the bat, it's a little slow. Probably not like the best for Windows 10. It might have been like a Windows 11 rig. Right here, I could show you guys. So it's an i3 3240. It's a dual core. I believe it has two other threads, but from what I'm seeing, they're not doing all that much. But basically, the only thing we're going to be doing during these benchmarks is having hardware monitor open. So that could possibly affect the benchmarks. It really shouldn't all that much. But other than that, we are actually, instead of what I normally do is I take the video directly from the system that I take it on, and I'm like, I shouldn't be doing that. We should be having a more controlled environment. In this case, I have a capture card hooked up to my PC, which is hooked up to this PC that we're testing, so we get a little bit more accurate reading on kind of what we're looking at. Basically, we're going to take a baseline, and then we're going to go and also take an overclock. As far as I know, I can't get this CPU overclocked with this motherboard. It's a LGA 1155, I believe. It sucks. I have 1150 chips that are i5, but it just won't work. So, um, but yeah, we're gonna basically take a look and see what we got here. So basically, like I said, it's dual core for two threads on top of that. Um, Processor is already cracking out. I've seen it hit like 70%. I noticed I had a 2 GB stick of RAM in, and I was like, oh no, you need four or more. GPU, I got the GTX 650. Like I said, this is a little older. You guys probably saw before me installing it in. Let's see. It's got its onboard Wi-Fi. Alright, so cool news. I'm going to just minimize this, and then we're going to run through the benchmarks. If you guys haven't used Passmark before, basically it shows you everything you have here. I did download the NVIDIA software, but for whatever reason it's coming up in Intel HD graphics. I'm not sure. It might just be using the regular, like whatever's more modern. This looks like it might be using, like I said, the Intel video drivers instead of the um, NVIDIA drivers. I don't know why, but let's see. We've got a small regular hard drive. It's not an SSD. Here's the chip here. Ivy Bridge. It sucks. I wasn't really like in the scene back in the day when Ivy Bridge and Sandy was around. I think this is like 2011. I did have a system that was, I believe, a Sandy Bridge, but I don't know enough about the two to really talk about either or. But yeah, let's get it. Alright, so we're going to run the benchmark and just see if this even works. We're doing all the tests. This is going to take a little bit, but kind of going to see what we're going to hit. I guess if I have to, I'll speed through a little bit of it just so you guys don't have to watch the entirety of this. There's probably quite a bit. We're trying to get the numbers so we get a baseline for Passmark. After this, we're going to do Heaven Bench, test that out. I've always loved the Heaven Bench benchmarks kit, so if you guys ever seen that app before or ever used it, it's great. Literally, even on like a potato, you could not a potato. Not I'm not saying even on a potato, it would still look good if you can get one frame. That one frame would look good. That's why I like Heaven Bench, because it just makes everything look good. But you do get a pretty good idea of what your system can run. Like I said, these systems, a lot of them I find just lying out on the side of the road or whatever. People throw them out all the time. So what I like to do is just give them little upgrades. In this case, this was a $5 rig, so I gave them whatever upgrades I actually found. Put them on, and we're actually in better shape than we were before. Clearly, the person probably had some issues. It was probably running pretty slow, and the guy was like, you know what? I'll use the power supply on something else. Simple as that, and that's Sucks. What I would do if I were to keep this rig, I'd put like Windows 7 on it, or something older. I think the Windows 10 is just too new. If I were to go Windows 7, I would use Windows 7 like games, and like older games fit for this time period. Even if you go I got the GTX 650 in there. So you really think about it, you might even want to go like before 2011. Um, 2011, like literally games that either came out that year or before, because the GTX 650, I remember it for the longest time. It wasn't always that great. When the 750 Ti came out, that was like happy day. Uh, that was actually a pretty good GPU at the time. It was very low power and did the job. But the GTX 650, no, maybe you guys have a different idea about it, but it'll run some games. Um, I think right now we might hit like, I'm thinking like a bottleneck on that CPU. I don't think the graphics card's really going to be the major issue, but we're going to be able to tell once we get that overclock on that graphics card. We could see right off the bat um, if the little overclock on that GPU will actually help. So that's like the main thing that we're going to be focused on. So far, I'm pretty shocked everything's running even on the 2D, which is good because this thing has been freezing like crazy. It's probably a driver issue, most likely. Um, I downloaded a lot of the drivers, so it made it quite a bit better. Like I said, we do have a 2015 driver from Nvidia, so I don't know. It could just be a little mistake on that part as far as Passmark goes. Um, I'm kind of wondering because I have another rig that I set up that should be weaker, um, but I'm just wondering if it's actually gonna turn out to be weaker because the other one doesn't even have a dedicated GPU. So I'm wondering if that will be a lot different. This should be much better in theory. Oh, this is great. We've been using Passmark for years now. Every rig we come by, we hit it with Passmark and Heaven Bench just to see how it's looking, and then you can compare it to the communities if they have if they had listed their own Passmark scores, which is cool. So yeah, I've never actually done this where I used a video card for this, so it's a little different. Yeah, once you hit like what is it, like DirectX 11 and um, a little bit harder benches, it just gets a little rough. Yeah, this is tough on the GPU for sure. What I would really try to opt for would be the i5 that they had on this. I found an i5. I think the guy had it. It was a i5 2400. I believe it was a Sandy Bridge CPU. It was a bit older. Um, I was thinking about it, but you know what? The guy wanted like $20 for it, and sadly, this is gonna be one of those ones that I get rid of, probably sell for like a couple bucks. It's not really, and I gotta try to save what I can while I can. Um, so it's just not in my budget to even pick up a $20 CPU. But also, if you look on eBay, they're going for like $10. So it would just be like, do I want to wait and keep a computer, which would be cool. I love doing these upgrades. But it's just not worth it. I got four desktops. I gotta try and put together and sell, even if it's like a couple bucks, you know. Because this is just what entertains me. I like to do this for fun, but also if I can make a couple bucks, I'm happy. That's like my main thing, and could definitely use whatever I can get. So that was the DirectX 12 test. That was cool. That was good. Some people, when they come in the room and they see this on, they see the 2D test. They're like, "What the heck is going on?" Because it's going like crazy. Um, yeah, the 2D test is wild. Let me see. I don't even mind just watching this test, to be honest. Like I said, the Heaven bench test at school. There's another bench. Well, there's several other benches, but like there's one other benches where it just goes over. It's like literally a stress test bench, so it just stresses it. You don't. There's no visuals, nothing. Just stress. I do prefer to use that one if I think something's wrong. If I know something's wrong, the GPU's wrong or something like that, and I'm feeling it, or I'm doing overclocks, probably want to use that. These two are great too, just in case, because I've seen. Oh, yeah, look, that's not good. That's not good. I might have to run this test a few times. Yeah, that could be bad. Let me see. Just in case, I know we're not supposed to run anything on top, but I want to check that temperature. It's temperatures look alright. Let me just double check. Yeah, temperatures look alright. Yeah, temperatures look okay. I'm gonna have to test this GPU out fairly well because um, it could have an issue, which hopefully isn't an actual issue. Hopefully it's just a bug or whatever. If anything, I have two GTX 650s. I could just throw the other one in if that's the case. But that would really suck because you come across a lot of busted GPUs when you're running through these. I'm sure you never know. Some of them might get wet outside or whatever the case is, or maybe they're just really old. So, could be it too. This mark. This one's testing the WD green I have in there, I believe. It's probably not going to be super fast. It's I like to put SSDs in these systems because they do make them a lot snappier. But for right now, I'm just putting in what I have that I can put in. So, it's what it is. I might just end it here as far as the pass mark goes. Let me see. As I might just try to get it rocking. It looks like this mark doesn't want to work. So we'll stop it right there. Hopefully we're in the 8th percentile. That's rough. That's really rough. I wonder if that's normal for. Let me see. How's the 3D mark? Comparing this to um, other GTX 650s would be what I would be looking at. Let's see. Your chart. Your, your video card versus the world. Basically, I want to see where other people's GTX 650s stand. I'm assuming it's not too great. Let me check real quick. 1774. Let's see if I can find other 3D Mark scores. Let's see. Yeah, yeah, this makes sense. So yeah, the GTX 650 would typically score around 1,000 to 2,000 on 3D bench, the 3D Mark benchmark. depending on the specific tests and settings. So, I mean, we're sitting at 1774. Okay, so seems about normal, if not just about average for this GPU, which is pretty rough. Yeah, that's pretty rough. But so I would say like your baseline, like a good GPU from, was it 2016, 2017, the RX 580, just to know where you're kind of at. The RX 580 was pretty good, still is pretty good. I believe it's comparable to like a 1060 or a 1070. Could be wrong a bit. This might be even a little better than the 580, the 1060, 1070. But the 580 was always good in my book, and still, it's a pretty good runner today. Oh, let's see. Actually, we got the 1050 right here. So yeah, 1060 might be a bit under. The 2060 is right here. The 2060 beats the 580 pretty bad. 3060 Radeon graphics, which actually aren't as bad as they used to be. So let's see, 1050 Ti R9 380. That's another one like pretty not a baseline, but this was the series before the RX 500s, I believe. It was the 400. I think those were like they kind of released around the same time, if I'm not mistaken, the 400s and the 500s. But the 300s came right after the 200s, I believe. The 380 was one of like the better of the bunch. Granted, I believe they had some. They had something where it was like was it a re-release of a 7K series, HD 7K series, something like that. Um, but yeah, basically we got a 1774 on this for our 3D graphics mark. 2D mark was okay, not great. CPU mark. All right. Alright, so that's one. We're going to start up the next. Before we do that, let's just make sure there was no insane spikes that I can see. Our cores are sitting under 60 Celsius, which is decent. Um, we just want to make sure they're not blazing up and something's going like terribly wrong. Okay, so we're good there. Alright, so here we're going to take again another baseline. I actually might have forgot to 17, was it 1764? I think that was the baseline for the 3D. Let me get that down though so I could remember. Shoot. Oh, crud. Okay. There we go. Da-da-da. We'll rock it. We'll try DirectX 11. If it works, it's going on low. Maybe medium, but I think low's where we're sitting. We're probably going to see a freeze. But let's check it out. So the 3D mark was 17, I believe. Was it 64? 17, yeah, something like that. But we're gonna see if there's like a major bump. If we're at 1800, we've done something right. As long as it's steady. With that little bit of that artifact, and we might see an issue. This rig might crash. You never know. If it crashes, it's toast. We're gonna have to put another graphics card in. You know what happens. You can't win them all. Sometimes the hardware just goes bad over time, or due to maluse or however. So it happens. I've gotten a lot worse. There's been ones that were like completely shot. I was pretty upset. I was like, damn, I put this whole rig together hoping this GPU worked, and it would be super buggy, like when I would put on Heaven Bench, And Heaven Bench is when you knew if the rig is gonna, basically if it's gonna be shot or not. And as soon as Heaven Bench cracked on, I saw the purple and green. I'm like, oh, that's rough. That's rough. So that GPU is pretty much just a paperweight. Because I mean, what would you guys do with a broken GPU like that? Something that's artifacting. Would you, like, does anyone know if there's any type of repairs? I hear there are some form of repairs, like for graphics cards, but they're very like they're not permanent usually. You know, it's a $20 card or whatever it was, $25 card, but yeah, it's not much I could have done. I felt like best thing I could have done is provided more cooling. Maybe there was a failure in the cooling aspect, but it seemed like there was no temperature increases, nothing crazy out of whack or anything of that matter. So, you know, card's pretty much waste, which sucks. So you guys see it's on low. It's cranking out 40 FPS. So this computer could probably play something. Could probably play something. So what do you guys think? Like I always think when I think of this game, well, this 3D benchmark, I always think of like Skyrim, something along those lines. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think Heaven Bench would be more similar to like Skyrim level on low quality? I would think so. Maybe a little harder, maybe. The graphics on Heaven Bench are great. I know I've always come back to them. I'm always using different GPUs, testing Heaven Bench, seeing how good they'll do. Even if they're top of the line, it's pretty sick to see all these different benchmarks. Yeah, so GPU is cranking 1,000 megahertz on the graphics, 2,500 on the memory. And we're sitting at 70C, which I guess while I'm here I can see like the maximum temp, but it's not going to be anywhere near. You know, when we're doing these benchmarks, we definitely want to make sure nothing weird is going on. My first thought is like, right off the bat, artifacting. You know, you see artifacting, there's an issue for the most part, but I would say test it a few times, make sure. Sometimes there's just some odd stuff that does happen, but for the most part, just keep testing. Other than the artifacting, we're looking at the temperatures. Make sure the temperatures don't go above the maximum, or you don't really want them sitting near the maximum, but there are some chips or some graphics cards that just sit so close to the maximum, and they're like, oh well, you know, that's their operating range. I'm like, so your operating range is right near your maximum, and that's normal? Alright, but it's not much I can do about that, but it sucks because you're like a little frightened because it's a bit high, but yeah, it happens. It's just, let's see, so we're gonna look up the GTX 650 maximum temp or operating temp. Yeah, so 105 degrees Celsius. This hit about 72 right now. We're looking at a very playable 49 FPS, give or take. I mean, if you're doing like esports, you're probably not gonna want anything near that. But for just regular gaming, this would be pretty decent on low quality for something like this, depending on what you're playing. Like I said, something from like 2011 to 2012-ish, low quality would be alright. Anything above that, like once you hit that 2013, 2014, yeah, no, you're gonna be pushing. Like, when I think of like 2014 or 2013, I think of Hitman Absolution, if you guys know that game. I don't think this game would run it at all very well. I think it would have a lot of difficulties with that game. But yeah, so I'm gonna save this one. I'm gonna save it somewhere I know where it's gonna be. downloads. There we go. Okay. Oh, what did I do? I'm gonna save it again. It's the best spot to put it. It's always like, let's see, desktop. Yep. So this way you have one for the desktop. I got another idea. We're gonna do. Wait, no, shit. Okay, that's my bad. Control. What am I doing here? Okay, quality. So now we're actually gonna raise it to medium. Just why not? You know, let's see if it'll handle medium since we're here. It should be a fairly long video, to be honest. I got a lot to put in this video. You know, I got a few other computers we do have to do, so if you guys want to see that, yeah, we're gonna try medium out. I think might be able to do pretty decent on medium. Most people, they don't want to see that FPS go under 30. Most people really want like 60 FPS. So yeah, just a fun little test. So far we're at 40, 41, 42. I feel like once we go down a little bit, like, oh wow, we just had a bump. Nice. 70, okay. Oh, now we're dropping a bit, yeah. So it's a capable GPU. I mean, it's not much. It's definitely not much, but it's capable. Alright, so I'm gonna quit out of this. You guys can kind of see. We're just doing the low quality ones, that's it. If there is some number that does give us, that's great. Nah, no number. Okay. Now we're gonna put in that overclock, see how that goes. Okay, let's pop this out, make sure everything's pulled off. Okay. Alright, now that we've done our pass mark and our heaven bench, we're also going to be popping on a slight overclock. We're going to see kind of what we can handle. You know, I try to just bump it up a little bit. Let's see. So we usually we want to extend official if we can. We might not be able to. No extending the official. Beta versions. Check now. Synchronize. Okay. It looks like we're not going to be extending too much of the official overclocking limits, so that's rough, but let's see what we can get. Just, let's see. Oof. Sync 60 off the top. So what I would do here, you can kind of play around a little bit. Sometimes with these like lower power cards, you can kind of bump it up quite a bit more. But let's see. I gotta look up like a recommended memory clock and recommended core clock or overclock. See what other people have used. Typically overclock for, oh okay, memory clock around 100 to 200, core clock around 200 to 250 additional. So if that's the case, that'd be pretty decent. I think that would be pretty good. So what I'll do, I don't want to boost it too much. I don't know if I can get see if we get a full number. Oh, 100. Okay. Okay, 100. And say 125. Give it a shot. Now save. Get that on your first one. Okay, apply. Let's see what we're sitting at. I should have CPU ID open. I don't know. Okay. 5C. Our temperatures are still pretty good, so I'm not too worried about the temperatures right now. Again, all the thermal paste has been replaced. Okay. All right. Overclock set. Let's see what happened here. What happened there? Oh, okay. It's already got the bump. Hmm. That's strange. I thought I bumped them up. Okay, well, let's get this back to normal presets. If there's some issue, I'll see. Okay, looks like something happened, but okay. Must have maybe rejected it. That should be good. We should be in good range. No, I popped it back to 100. Okay. Let's see, 125. Alright, so 50 and, that's fine. 50 and 100. For right now, that's going to be what we're going to do. Okay. I don't see if we're going to see much of a difference, though. That's what I'm worried about. Okay, 80 and 100. So 80 and 110. Alright, so we're set. 100 above. Let's do Heaven Bench first. Go back to Heaven Bench. See kind of what our clocks are at now. Let's see. Hopefully our temps are good. Like I said, we're going to be checking temps because our clocks are a bit higher than before. Okay. 1158, 2580. Okay. Hold up one sec. Settings, make sure our settings are correct. Quality, make sure we're on low. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so we're benchmarking now. Remember, our last one, I think we got like, what was it, 47? So if we're getting a little bit higher, it'd be a lot better. The higher the better with these ones. Let's see. So yeah, our graphics base clock speed should be at, our core speed should be at 1058. It's 1158. We added an additional 100 megahertz on the top. Our memory clock speed, oh, that seems a little high. Core speed of 1202. Oh, this is the super clocked. This is the super clocked I'm reading. Okay, the super clocked had it at 1202. So that's pretty nice. Memory should be running at 1250. Wow. That's a little bit of an odd number then. Let's see. But base clock 1058. Okay, that makes sense. So we got the 100 on the top. Let's see. Memory config. I think this one's a 2 GB card. Vision. Okay. The numbers don't really add up. The graphics speed makes sense. The memory speed doesn't really make much sense. The memory clock speed is supposed to be 1250. Memory clock speed of 5000. That's 1250. Now this is that weird GPU because it looked a little odd. It looked a little fake too. But I don't think that's what we're coming across here. I'm not sure what the issue is, if there is an issue. But we're gonna see. We're also going to see if there was a large dip in performance, if there was. Here you go, 2 GB specs. This one looks very similar, but this is an Asus. This one's completely like unbranded. It's just an unbranded. Okay. Alright, so this is our benchmark for this go, 53.2 FPS, 1340. Okay, so we're going to save that, same spot. We're going to, I believe I put it in downloads as well. Let's see. Okay. So here is a comparison from the before base clock to the overclock. You can see the overclock did have a good 4 FPS increase, which is not all that much, but the overall score went up around 100. And your minimum FPS also increased, which is very important because 8 FPS minimum and a 23 FPS minimum is very far apart. You'll be able to notice it, but luckily we did have this saved. Alrighty, so now with the overclock, we're going to see how the 3D Mark performs in particular. We want to see if we could beat the old overclock, and I'm just gonna, once I can, I'm gonna show you guys the old overclock. I don't know where everything's saving, but we can go through this real quick and see. I'll be able to just show you guys before and after with the base clock and the overclock, so it should be cool. Again, we should see some improvement. We shouldn't see any artifacting. There should be just a bit of improvement. From what I'm seeing with that overclock, it looked pretty good. It looked like we got a decent amount of score increase, which is probably just enough. Especially when you're working with these old systems, you do want to see some type of increase. You don't always want to rely on whatever it comes with, because usually it's rough. It's rough play. So, I think this DirectX 11 right here. This is the multi-sample. This is always a pretty rough one, I'm pretty sure. I've had a lot of GPUs in the past, so that, comparing uh, comparing them is pretty not exactly easy, but the GTX 650 was old back in 2016. Um, in that standard, so it just wasn't up to par. A lot of people were opting to get other cards, even in I would say 2014, 2015. People were opting out. They wanted better cards, even than the 650 at the time. Um, I feel like there was a lot of games too that we were like, we can't even play that, or we're having a rough time. My buddy had it in his rig for a bit, and I forgot the name of the game, but basically he was playing it, and I could tell you it was rough. It was not a fun play. This was back in was it 2014, 2015, I believe. So yeah, it's just there's always a time if you are playing games and stuff and you want better results, better FPS, you're going to want to put a little extra into getting something nicer. This rig is probably more or less for like either older games or straight computer, scrolling, and that's probably where it's at. What I would do with these kind of rigs, literally Windows 7, just set it up. Maybe even older. This way we get like Microsoft Word. I think they were was it Word Perfect back in the day, but have actual hard copy software that you hopefully have for a lifetime. Instead, now you have to pay every month or every year, which is crazy. But that's how these platforms do it. It just sucks. I like to get the lifetime package. This way you can have it. You don't have to worry about paying however much it is. I know Microsoft package is pretty expensive. Pretty expensive unless you go through your school. If you are looking to get Microsoft, sometimes this is the same issue. Um, Sometimes if you go to college or maybe even high school, there's some programs that will give it to you. So there we go. You can see right over here, 1908. That's the new score after the overclock. So we're looking at about, was it 130? My math is pretty bad. Score increase on the 3D graphics. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think it was worth the upgrade? Worth the overclock? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks again, guys. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Every little like and subscribe helps the channel, and I can't wait to make more. I actually just found another rig that I might be able to put together. I'm waiting on just finding a power supply for it. But thanks again for the support, guys, and hope to put out some more. Thanks again.